What's going on, everybody? This is Randall Barnes, the founder of HBCU Pulse and the host of HBCU Pulse Radio, in the building for another special edition of the show. On today, we are talking about week 9 of HBCU football and previewing what is going to be an actually very interesting week 10. I have Arielle Kilgore in the building. Arielle, how you doing today?
I am doing wonderful, and I have to agree with you. Week 10, we're about to get into, because we're worried about the SWAC, but really it's me at business. These next couple weeks, including in the week 10, we're about to see back-to-back conference play, really trying to decipher these 3 top teams, Delaware State coming out of nowhere, who is really going to be in this Celebration Bowl coming December. And by the looks of it, we already know who's not going. Most definitely, we already know who's not going.
Yeah, I'd say I think we could rule out definitely Morgan State, but also Norfolk State. They ain't gonna be nowhere near Atlanta unless Vic going to a Falcons game. You know, they ain't gonna be nowhere near Atlanta. And at this point, I don't know if we want to go to a Falcons game at this point, but except for the cheap food, the food cheap.
The food is cheap, but the Falcons, listen, if they didn't build that stadium, I think Atlanta would have voted them to kick them out. Like, let's move them like the Raiders. We don't want them in Atlanta anymore. Give them to another state. I don't know what's been going on these past 2 games. I'm not here for it. Somebody else needs to get fired. Somebody else needs to move.
Maybe Michael Vick can make a comeback at Norfolk State and don't work. Maybe he can go out there, do some stuff. That'd be interesting. But I gotta say, Arielle, congratulations to you. North Carolina A&T has won their second CAA game. They beat Campbell in what was a comeback win, very thrilling win. We did not pick A&T because the Transition Twins picked together in some points. Okay, but A&T won, so congrats to you. How you feeling about the game?
In A&T fashion, we could have just win. We also had to break records as well, and we'll get to that when I do my analysis. I just hate I didn't pick them in my game of the week. The one time I decided not to have faith. That's what happens when you don't stay faithful and believe, guys. That's what happens. But yes, A&T, I think, has actually found a quarterback in Kevin White. Kevin White has started after the William & Mary game for the past 3 games. This one being his first win since he has started, but A&T has not changed quarterbacks since that William & Mary game. So they might have found somebody that they can mold and use for next season. I kind of like that. I like consistency. But this wasn't his best game. Not a great game, but we are seeing improvement. 12 and 21 out of attempts, 133 yards. Even had his own rushing touchdown to help with that 28-24 game. And so A&T really just, the game was great. As in winning the game. When it comes to watching the game, first of all, I told you I couldn't watch it on Flow Sports. Something about, having really great television, great cameras really does something for me. But it was a slow game in general. But we have to shout out to Elijah Kennedy from North Carolina A&T. When we're talking about records, he is the first FCS player to have a punt return and a kickoff return in the same game. So congratulations to him. And he did all of this in the 4th quarter, getting us our 2 touchdowns that put us on top of Campbell. So that is the main reason why A&T won. Because when we look at Campbell only held the Aggies to 221 yards. Let's talk about that defense right there. But A&T not really having heavy motion in the 1st quarter, only scoring within the last few minutes. And then they decided to pick it up, going 21-14, taking a lead going into the 4th quarter. Then having those 2 touchdowns, which really brought them back. Campbell tried. That's all I have to say. Campbell is not a bad team, and they don't have a bad quarterback either. With six killer, sorry if I mispronounced his name, coming in for Chandler the second, 27 out of 44, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns himself, plus 1 interception. Of course, he had the better game on the other end of the field. But like I said, when you look at A&T only being held for 221 yards, you just have to ask, where that defense was, where that offense was, and why can we be able to move the ball? This was kind of a dangerous game that was being played against Campbell, coming from behind, knowing that Campbell is the better team. I do like the grit to pull through, but I can say this. I think A&T, if we do keep up with this consistency, if Kevin White continues to play, and if they continue to have breakout players like Elijah Kennedy like this, they may be looking at one more win. This is just me giving them hope. But I can see a win out of Stony Brook, and I can maybe see a win out of Elon. But it is starting to come together at the end. Special teams was really the star of this show this past weekend, both with that punt and kick return. Other than that, A&T is not looking bad, but they're not looking great. But I'm starting to see some real improvement when it comes to rushing, when it comes to moving the ball, going back to basics. And maybe we won't have too bad of a season next year.
I think that you all are going to have a really good season next year, because here's the reason why I say that. I think that this was the year where it should have all fallen apart. It should have been a horrible first year. But even with the North Carolina Central loss, that close loss to Maine, which actually, that was very encouraging, because people have said like, oh, you're not encouraged by a loss. When you have incremental success, which I often preach on here, those type of losses do matter towards your progress. So when you're not getting blown out by every team you step on the field with, that's something that does matter towards the incremental success of a team that's trying to get back to dominance in this, non-HBCU conference, especially in Sean Gibbs' first year. I think that this is a win that can change the tide for a lot with A&T, and I mean this authentically. I think that what people are seeing is what we saw at Fort Valley, is that Sean Gibbs, at his highest aspiration, is one of the best coaches in HBCU football. I think he's a great decision maker. I think he surrounds himself with a lot of great football minds. It helps him further intensify what he has as far as his knowledge for the game. And he's doing more with less. That's what great coaches do. Because this A&T team is not a team that I think can be the best in HBCU football. And I definitely don't think they're going to be the best in the broader FCS, especially with the injuries that occurred and all these different things. But the fact that you're able to find a way, you're able to empower your guys to make plays and make history when they're making the plays, the kick return, the punt return, all these different things. I think that A&T has something, and I think that all the crazy talk is gonna cease, because I think that next year it's not gonna be them winning the CAA championship, but I think year 2 is gonna be a leap, because I think Sean Gibbs now knows what guys to get when it comes to that transfer portal and also recruiting. And I'm gonna say this because I was listening to your analysis, and you talked about 6 killer. Okay, let me tell you this. Okay, I'm writing about A&T's win. I'm like, okay, I gotta write about this. They won, so I'm looking, and I'm looking down the stats, and I say, C6 killer. Now I was like 6 killer, like, and I'm like that, like, and he's a quarterback. I'm like, and six killer, and listen, y'all gotta forgive me. We on the HBCU space, okay? He white. I was like, oh, 6 killer white. I was like, oh, that's crazy. So I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying it just was a shock to me. And
that was your first thought. When you thought it
like it was first to last day, and I'm like, oh, I thought it was a black. I thought it would have been like a black guy. I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, oh man. In my mind, I'm like, yo, he'll have the greatest rap career. Like if this football thing don't work out, like he could just use he just uses his first and last name. That would be like new 6 killer. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's like, oh, you white. He can still be a rapper if he want to be. He can still be Eminem. You know, but I'm just saying. Like,
you gotta be stopped. You gotta be stopped.
But that was a name for you, and I in my mind, I'm like, that can't be like his name. It gotta be like, we think it's 6 killer, but it's like Sue Killer or something like that. Hey, it's Cam Sue Killer. Like it's like, it can't be 6 killer. But I mean, it was. So I feel your pain, Arielle. That's a name for you.
And I hate mispronouncing names, because I hate when people mispronounce my name. But I couldn't find any pronunciation that was different. And I was like, listen, shout out to that man. You played an incredible game. But like, I'm sorry if I butchered it. I really am. It's just that took me off guard. I said, with a name like that on the back of my jersey, I have to be tough. Like, I have to be tough. I have no choice.
I tell you what, Arielle, he played a killer game. I knew you like that. I knew you like that. It's so obvious.
I should have never laughed. I should have seen it coming, but it took me so off guard. That's crazy.
But listen, shout out to North Carolina A&T. I think it's very encouraging, Arielle. But I want to get to my game of the week. Okay, so my game of the week was South Carolina State versus Norfolk State. Okay, so I will say this about the game. Norfolk State looked good for like a drive or two, and they won the first quarter. They lost everything after that. They might have won homecoming tailgate. They might have won the band because that's Spartan Legion. They might have won the band battle. If there was a fifth quarter or halftime, but they lost the game like 51-20. And I was watching the game, but I don't like blowouts. So I have a propensity, even if it's a team I'm rooting for what I pick, I have a propensity to tune out blowouts. So I was watching, but I can't really give you much more than that. South Carolina State, they had like 4 touchdowns in like the second quarter. It was a lot, Arielle. So here's what I want to do, Arielle. So you know like how you go up, you get to play, all right, and you go up to the huddle and you look out, you see the defense, you see the different reads, and then you start audibling. You like, hey, we gonna change the play. We're gonna like what Patrick Mahomes did. He said this ain't gonna work, and it worked. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm that's the most Patrick Mahomes thing ever. I'm gonna go for an audible, Arielle. This is our first ever audible. Okay.
Dang, we got a noise or something. We got like a little.
Let's see. Let's see. That's not the noise. If you heard that, let's see. That's all I got. If you can hear that, that's all I got.
Audible. I like it.
I'll do this. Wait.
You're listening to the Randall Barnes Experience on HBCU Pulse Radio.
That's audible. I guess that's not our audible sound. I don't use it anymore. But we gonna go for an audible. It's called the Randall Barnes Experience. Okay. All right. We can't talk about that game. We gotta talk about North Carolina Central. Homecoming versus Delaware State. DeSean Jackson and Delaware State beat North Carolina Central in a game where the games were on at the same time. The North Carolina Central Delaware State game came on 1 p.m. This game comes on 3 p.m. And I was sort of watching both. I had the North Carolina Central Delaware State game on the screen, on the iPad. I had Norfolk State and Norfolk State, South Carolina State. I should have took it off the iPad and watched something else, but still, okay, I was watching. All right, because it's my game of the week. So let me just say this about this game, Arielle. What DeSean Jackson is building is so interesting because it's a contrast to Michael Vick. And I say it because of this, because Delaware State was in a worse state than what Norfolk State was under Dawson Odoms. Because Norfolk State, they had a lackluster year, but they still won, the games that they won, where you might want to give Dawson Odoms another go at it. But of course, you want to go get Michael Vick because of the Deion Sanders thing. So DeSean Jackson comes in, and you are inheriting a team that's won 2 games in the past 2 years. Like, just simply put, a not great team when it comes to college football, one of the worst in the FCS. What DeSean Jackson has done, I think is amazing, Arielle, is he's created a definitive culture for that team. And it's a culture of a swagger or of a way they do things, because that's happening. But it's a culture for their identity on the field. And that identity, ironically enough, fits what the MEAC is. And you've talked about it before, and that's what people talk about in HBC football. Physical, crazy run game, smash mouth football. Sometimes the SWAC can get pretty. You got your Steve McNair types, you got your Kill Glass types, like what we talked about back in 2021. Like passing the ball, real pretty offense, but the MEAC is gritty, it's tough. It's that essence of what we say football is. And DeSean Jackson, Delaware State, they've built a team that embodies that. Like, that run game is unstoppable. And Trey Oliver, as I talked about last week, he knew that was going to be something that he needed to stop. And he tried to, but they just simply could not. Going for it on fourth down in key moments. The defense not being that great, but at the same time playing for something. And to win in the fashion that they did, and what was a compelling game. Walker Harris had a pretty good game. I didn't trust Caden Bennett to go band for band with Walker Harris, but Caden Bennett did what he was supposed to do and using his legs to help with that run game and making the passes that he needed to on the plays that Nemo Washington, as offensive coordinator, was calling. Arielle, I honestly do think it's time. It's time, Arielle. Delaware State, and I know, theoretically speaking, this is where they are now, but Delaware State going in that celebration ball, Arielle. They go to celebration ball.
And you know, I don't disagree with you. And just to add to that, the way that this game ended, Delaware State putting up back-to-back touchdowns and a safety. You would have never thought, you know, I'm going to pull a Randall. If you were to tell me that Central dominating Eagles would lose in a double touchdown and a safety, I wouldn't believe you. I couldn't, because of the pedigree that Central was displaying these past 3 years, these past 4 years that we've been doing this. I couldn't tell you that Delaware State was going to beat them 35-26. I couldn't tell you that Delaware State would put up 28 points within the second half and only allowing Central to have 16 points. Nobody could have told me that. You couldn't have told me that Delaware State's defense would have been so well and would have overcome Central's offense to only allow them a field goal in the first quarter. That is something unheard of. That is something that we're getting like Chennis Berry last year, first season. This is Chennis Berry type numbers Delaware State is putting up. And now it's getting scary because Delaware State, and I don't think I can disagree with you. I really do think that they're about to do something unprecedented and about to go and be DeSean Jackson is about to have his first year in the Celebration Bowl. They only have to, they're going to beat, because they're in my game of the week. They're going to beat Norfolk State. That's the only rival that they have left. They already beat Morgan State. The only two games that they have left is to beat Howard, and I think that's going to be a real compelling game as well. More compelling than when they had to go play South Carolina State. I don't think Howard is going to go down without a fight. I think but South Carolina, when they play South Carolina State in these next 3 weeks, it's going to be definitive. Like, it's going to be a win or lose situation. It's not going to be as storytelling as the game they just played against Central. But those are the only two teams they have to beat. With Central, to me, and I hate to say it, how we were talking before, I think they're already out because they already beat Norfolk State, but Delaware State and South Carolina State and Howard would all have to lose their next games against each other. And I don't see any of that happening. And then South Carolina State in the next 3 weeks has to play Howard, Central, and Delaware State. And they can't lose that game. That's a tough matchup. You got to bring grit and aggressiveness in the next 3 weeks against 3 teams that you know are going to fight till the end because they want that last spot. I don't think South Carolina State is surviving 3 weeks of going hammer and hammer back-to-back aggressiveness like that. Delaware State has the most easiest schedule to end this season. And if that's the case, they are going to win. Central has too much going on. It's like Falcons getting a wild card. You know, the Saints have to lose this. The Buccaneers have to lose their next 2 games. The Panthers can't win the rest of the season. South Carolina State is just playing too many big dogs towards the end. Delaware State only has 2 people to get through. DeSean Jackson is going to that Celebration Bowl. And it shocks me to say this, and not shock as in like bad, but shock as in proud, because we are having these new coaches come in, build the team, recruit well, know where they're good at. We all know DeSean Jackson is really good at defense, and we're starting to see that, especially with the number 1 defense in MEAC to me, which is Central, beating that team in the fashion that they did. You're building your defense. You're building a quarterback in Caden Bennett because, like you said, we both know he isn't better than Walker Harris, but he found a way to win using his running back, using his team that DeSean Jackson has built. We're about to see him do what Chennis Berry did, but I think we're about to see something that Chennis Berry couldn't do. I think Delaware State could win the Celebration Bowl. I think they will go and they will win whatever SWAC team they're going to face.
What I think when it comes to DeSean Jackson and Delaware State and how they've been regarded, and I would say that we're not involved in this because I think we've talked up DeSean Jackson, and I know with clutch points, I know I've written a lot about DeSean Jackson, and I've tried to cover DeSean and Michael Vick equally. I think that it is still wild to me that Michael Vick, before he won, and I'm gonna use what other people have been saying in these Twitter streets, Norfolk State has not won a Division I football game, but Michael Vick was like, oh, Michael Vick could be in the running for Virginia Tech. That took me out of all of it. I was like, you know what? I think that this is a mockery to HBC football, not necessarily Michael Vick, but the perception of celebrity coaches. And it's so funny because you don't see that same level of credence being given towards DeSean Jackson, who went to what was a harder job, like got actually a few of the same players, brought them back, added in a few pieces around that team that was already there, competed competitively. Like they were competitive against Delaware. They beat Albany, which they've been struggling recently, but that is a team that goes to the FCS playoffs. They competed well against Sacred Heart, that has actually been pretty good this year. Like they've had so many interesting and astounding victories with what they have in year one of DeSean Jackson. And here's my thing when it comes to DeSean Jackson. Number one, we don't hear, oh, he might be a coach here, he might be a coach there. We don't hear that for some reason. I think that's very odd, and it says a lot about the orbit around Michael Vick because of his legend, because Michael Vick doesn't deserve the pull of, oh, he might be the coach at Tech. No, he shouldn't. But I think, number two, what this tells me ultimately when it comes to DeSean Jackson is that he's going to have, if he keeps the guys around him, especially Coach Clark, if he keeps these guys around him, because he's not going to stay at Delaware State. We know that. He's going to be a very successful coach. And here's what I don't want to happen. What I don't want to happen, and I guess we'll talk about it more later on when it comes to the parallel between Vick and DeSean Jackson in that matchup on Thursday. What I don't want to happen is for him to follow the Deion Sanders model. And I'll be brief in saying this. Deion is seen as the epitome of what a former NFL player is supposed to be. When he goes to Jackson State, he dominates, then he gets his FBS job. I maintain that Deion left too late, left too early. He left too early. And he should have stayed at Jackson State a little bit longer. He should have beaten and went against schools like North Dakota State, South Dakota State, maybe competitive losses or upset victories. Maybe you lose to FAMU one year, or you lose to one of these other schools and you make the FCS playoffs and you go on a run. I think that Colorado is an amazing school, and I think they have great facilities, and that fan base is bought in, both the students and alumni. But Deion could have made it to a more cushier spot. He could have gone to a place that's more of a recruiting destination. And he would have also learned how to become a better coach. Because just because you have that NFL experience as a player or as an analyst or as a podcast host, that does not mean that was going to lead you to pick the right minds that are on that sideline with you. And that does not mean that you're going to be able to not only just lead men, but also play that human chess you're playing in football and know how to be a decision maker and control the flow of the game appropriately without ego. I don't want that to be the DeSean Jackson. What happens with DeSean Jackson? Delaware State, just like Jackson State, they don't have the pedigree of Jackson State when it comes to their athletics and football especially, but Delaware State is one of the top 10 HBCUs. They're building expansive, amazing facilities. Like they're up there in Delaware. They're making things happen. That is an amazing school. And you have not heard once about he's not getting paid or this and that. That's not the MO of Tony Allen and Delaware State and that athletics department. They've had their lows in competitiveness, but that is a great school there. He needs to be there, I think, at least 3 to 4 years. Let him come calling. Let the Colorado-type programs that aren't doing that great in FBS come calling, but continue to win. Go to the Celebration Bowl. Maybe go to the FCS playoffs if you lose to Central or South Carolina State in one of these times in the years to come, or whatever new MEAC school that pops up, then you leave. We are seeing the genesis of what could be a storied coaching career if he does it the right way. Because you want to be like Deion Sanders and how he was successful at Jackson State and the recruiting wins, but you don't want to be like Deion in what we're seeing now, because you took the food out the oven too soon. And guess what? It's not thawed out yet, Arielle. It's not thawed out yet.
I will only say I will only take Deion's recruiting and the turnaround of Jackson State's program. I would not want to embody losing back-to-back celebration bowls and then moving into Colorado. Like people miss that, and I'm one of those people when we talk about, it's mostly prominent in basketball conversations, but championships matter to me. And I'm not saying Deion was not successful at Jackson State and not having an undefeated season one year and then having a really good season the next, but not winning celebration bowls to me kind of affects who you are as a coach and how you are coaching. Then we're going into Colorado. You can't even get into a playoffs back-to-back years. You can't. This season is probably the worst season that you're having right now. There are a lot of differences that DeSean Jackson is going to go through and that he has to make, that I think he has to do before he leaves, because he can't technically leave next year. To me, because one, if Delaware State does win this Celebration Bowl, which I'm going to go ahead and put my stamp on it that they're going and they are going to win, you lose Caden Bennett this year, you lose Marquise Gillis this year, you lose Nashawn Biggs. Those are your top three players that you have to replace after this year. You won't have the best running back in HBCU football right now, because I believe he will go and get drafted after all of this. This man has been putting on a show this whole year, has broken MEAC records, has broken HBCU records, has so many offensive players of the week. He's going to win offensive player of the year at the end of this. You're losing him. Caden Bennett wasn't like the greatest quarterback that we've seen outside of Andrew Body, but like, he is a great quarterback, but you're losing him. You're losing one of the best linebackers that you have right now coming into Delaware State, and Nashawn Biggs. You have to replace all of them and maintain that momentum going into next year of being on top. And we already know how Central is about that. We know how Chennis Berry, even though he has not won his Celebration Bowl, they know how hard it is to keep going and to keep winning. And the only person that I have seen successfully create a program as in new coaches right now is Chennis Berry. He is the only coach that has come to South Carolina State in his second year, probably going to his third year, that has created a consistent winning culture outside of him not having a Celebration Bowl. Outside of that, if we had to go back, yes, I'm going to put in there that, hey, A&T created that winning culture. A&T created that consistency. Trey Oliver is now creating that kind of consistency, but DeSean Jackson is going to realize that he has to keep doing that after this win. So I don't think he's really ready to leave after his second year unless he can replace and replicate the same kind of success that he has this season. Then after that, if you do that 2 years in a row, if you either replicate the success or you go and do a Celebration Bowl after your second year and you go back to back, I would say do it again for a third year, just so that you can see the people that you did bring in from recruiting. It's great. And then if you do decide to leave, because I believe at that point you are over Deion Sanders' record, like you've excelled him because you did what he couldn't while he was in the HBCU space, go somewhere, like you said, that's cushiony. Don't try to shoot for the stars right now, because you're good. You're a good coach. You're proving that you could be a great coach, but you don't want to set yourself up for failure. And when you leave out of this HBCU space, it's hard. We just seen it with LSU. We just seen it with Brian. I never thought they was going to fire him. They are kicking college football coaches out like there's no tomorrow. And to me, I think it's just out of respect that they haven't fired Deion yet, because this is a trash season. Outside of that, I like these kind of coaches now, to me, and it's nothing against DeSean Jackson. It's nothing against the coaches of today. It's nothing against Black coaches, but excelling and not staying where you are. There's no loyalty in HBCU football anymore. There's no loyalty of head coaches in HBCU football. Nobody's wanting to stay there for 10 plus years, for 5 plus years to develop a program. Nobody's doing that anymore. You at least got 2 to maybe 4 years max of a coach. Right now, we're just seeing 2 years, 2 to 4 years max of having a coach that may give you a good season, and then they're trying to move on to the next. And there's nothing wrong with that. I want you to excel, and I want you to get in those spaces that you don't see us in. The NFL just did it. We got like 8 different African-American Black coaches in this space. but I want to retain some of our coaches because I think DeSean Jackson could do something for Delaware State that they never had before. Can do what Deion did at Jackson State. Could bring more revenue. Could bring on more sponsors. Could bring more students. Can bring more buildings. Can bring more education. Can bring everything that they don't have right now. That's one of the things that I think he doesn't. I don't think he's necessarily processed yet that he has the influence to do just because he's not Michael Vick and just because he's not Deion Sanders. He can still do that if he stays long enough. But I think if he's smart about it, he'll stay 3 years. The second year, just to rebuild out losing your infamous running back and losing your QB and losing some of your offensive linemen, and then run it back just for consistency for a third year and then do whatever you want. But he can't leave after this first year. First of all, that puts Delaware State in a bad position because you got to re-recruit everybody now. You leave them in a bad spot to try to fill in spaces that they weren't thinking about, but also you got to see if you can actually do it again. Just don't try to leave because you did it once. That's what happened with Deion Sanders. You gotta break the cycle. You gotta win the Celebration Bowl. You have to have a championship before you go anywhere else.
I think what you said was totally true, and I want to transition into your game of the week because we're going to talk more about DeSean Jackson and we're going to talk some about Michael Vick. So I don't want to spoil it. What's your game of the week?
It's really not a game of the week. The better game of the week is actually Central at Howard. But my game of the week, just because we have to preview them, is Delaware State versus Norfolk State. We finally get to see these new head coaches go at it, not necessarily go at it as a battle. We know one of them is definitely not surviving this game. They're definitely being murked all over the field. But I want to see them in their space. Maybe Michael Vick can ask DeSean Jackson, what are the notes? How did you pull off this successful season? What is it looking like? How did you learn to trust a QB? How did you know that your QB was yours? That's really the question he needs to ask because it took too long to make Otto Coons, and I had to be convinced that Otto Coons too was the QB, but how'd you know the QB was your QB? How'd you make it through all these games? What was your decision? Like, because we all know for AI, because, we're getting to our picks now. For AI, Delaware State is winning this game. Period, point blank. But it's just good to see players look at other coaches. And then also for Delaware State to, because I would still be in awe. Like, it's Michael Vick, bro. Like, I want to see Michael Vick in person. I want to see the man, the myth, the legend. But it's going to be hard because we already know that we're beating your team. We already know that we're having the success that you are supposed to have. So I'm hoping for a good game. It's probably going to be another blowout game like South Carolina State just did to Norfolk State. But just trying to see, we really get to see the differences between these two coaches and what separates Delaware State having a good season and Norfolk State having a good season, and maybe what Norfolk State could take to put them on the path that Delaware State is going to be, and continue to watch this amazing season that Delaware State is having unfold and what the next 3 weeks are going to look like. Because like I said, we already both know they're going to the Celebration Bowl, but really what these two coaches have brought this season, this is like a really nice wraparound moment. Nice epiphany that's going on right now.
So I think that the Norfolk State versus Delaware State matchup that's going to be in the Lincoln Financial Field is going to be a nexus point of this celebrity coaching experiment. And the reason why I say that is because it was a shock when after Christmas we found out that Thursday, Friday, actually, that DeSean Jackson was going to be the head coach of Delaware State. Michael Vick was announced as the head coach of Norfolk State, and it was a lot of pomp and circumstance that was around it. And it was something that was festering from early December to beyond the Celebration Bowl. Then, of course, officially on the 23rd of December, but 2 days before Christmas, they have that press conference. I think that life would be a lot different if Michael Vick was the head coach of Norfolk State and DeSean Jackson just stayed in the high school ranks and maybe came up later or went to a non-HBCU or went to the SWAC or something. Michael Vick would be able to have this polarizing pull of his celebrity, his legendary status, him being home in Virginia. He would have that story to himself. But DeSean Jackson popped up right there, right after Christmas. And DeSean Jackson has overtaken Michael Vick this year. And the reason why is because of the duality of what we see and how Michael Vick and DeSean Jackson have often been covered throughout this whole entire journey over these past 9-10 months. You see Michael Vick's name and face consistently because that's Michael Vick. You've seen DeSean Jackson often, even though DeSean Jackson is more charismatic, younger face, was in the NFL more recently. You've seen him play the background to the legend and legacy of Michael Vick. But what you've seen recently in this football season is Delaware State forment their own identity, and they now are one of the best rushing teams in the FCS. They built this MEAC type team, and they are on their way to the Celebration Bowl potentially. And I think that this game is really the nexus point for it, even though we think it's not going to be all that good, even though we think it's not going to be that competitive. Because I think that that's the story. Beyond them both being former Eagles, beyond the game being at the Linc, and we might see Jalen Hurts pop out, we might see Kevin Hart pop out, all these different celebrities. We know that they're going to be doing previews of Michael Vick's new docuseries that's going to be on BET. They're filming this season. They're going to be doing some filming and screening out there. We know that, right? But the bigger story is the tale of these two former Eagles. And I think what we're going to see is that DeSean Jackson did it the right way. Yes, his star power and him being a former NFL wide receiver, that's going to play a part in him getting star players and star recruits. We saw he got Ryan Pelham, who's a former Oregon wide receiver. And we've seen Ryan Pelham make some moves this year. But the whole entire thing is DeSean Jackson has done more than just the pop, the circumstance, the flair. He's gotten out there. He's instilled this confidence in his players. He called his shot at that press conference. We covered it on HBCU Pulse. He said, we're trying to make the Celebration Bowl this year. He's not making these broad proclamations, Arielle. He's saying like, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to win. We might not have this flashy throwing offense like you would think I would have as a former wide receiver, but guess what? We have a prolific rushing attack, and we're going to do what we're going to do, and you're not going to stop us. I think that that's going to be the story of this game. Now, let me say this. Delaware State, and this is something that is known amongst all of us that cover this HBCU football game, and I think that Delaware State knows this, and they'll correct it. Their defense is not all that great. That defense is not all that great at all. They stepped up against Central, but Walker Harris last week had over 300 yards passing. And there was some openings in those passing lanes. Now, there was some good play calls that covered up those weaknesses. And I think that Norfolk State, they still have offensive weapons. You still got Kevon King there. I think Autumn Coons is a really good quarterback. You got some really good wide receivers. I don't trust that the Spartans are going to call a good game, but they have those weapons, and they can take advantage of that defense. So I think that's something to watch out for. I think that Otto Coons is going to throw for 200 or 300 yards. I think that it could be a blowout, but I do think that Otto Coons is going to have an amazing game. At the end of the day, I do believe that Delaware State will win, and it's going to be a signal point to a lot of the country, but it's going to be on ESPNU, so if you can catch it.
I don't know if I'm going all the way and saying that Otto Coombs maybe has 300 yards, maybe 200. I know that he's definitely going to be throwing a lot in this game because we know Caden Bennett is not. But 300 is pushing it. Norfolk State, 300 is pushing it. Pushing it. 200, 250 at max.
Well, let me say this, Arielle. We don't take prop bets because we're not in the NBA. So I'm gonna let that. I'm not gonna. And that's my league, but I don't do prop bets. So I believe you. It's overrun on Otto Coons going to be over 200 or under. No, we ain't doing that. You not go arrest me, mafia. Stay away. Anyway, go ahead, Arielle.
Yes. Hey, we are one of the shadiest podcasts I think ever known to man. Super, Super shady. Super shady. Speaking of really great quarterbacks, and none of these two being the ones that we've seen, let's talk about MEAC favorite, your game of the week, Alabama State versus Prairie View A&M. I can also already see how this game is going to go, but you may see differently. Let's talk about your game of the week.
I think that you're right in it being challenging because this is a game because I want to be transparent with the audience. I was saying, hey, I want to get Norfolk State, Delaware State. You said, yeah, go ahead and get it. But I looked at that schedule, Arielle, and I'm like, I do not want to do that to Arielle. I do not want to have her watch a blowout. Okay, so it's like, no, Arielle, you get Norfolk State, you get Delaware State, which might still be a blowout, but it's a celebrity blowout, okay? So it's a little bit different.
It's a little bit better. I'm watching two celebrities blow each other out.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'll take it. And then Jalen Hurts might be there. You never know. He might feel the spirit move him, start hopping. You know what I mean? And
listen,
then
we might see of all Abbott Elementary. We might see the whole Eagles come out. Who knows?
I thought about. By the way, I thought about that. I thought about Abbott might. They should. If I were Quinta Brunson, I would so do an episode where they do a storyline because I'm still catching up on Abbott because I fell off of it. But like they do a storyline where they go to that game and they do some real cool HBCU top. Anyway, that's probably not gonna happen, but that'd be.
I think it would be funny, because they control that we can't. She would troll the mess out of Michael Vick and out of DeSean Jackson. It's like equal pride. She would definitely troll the mess out of him. But
yeah.
Quinta, if you listening, bro, just saying, really great episode.
If Quinta was listening, she'd say this season is up and stuck. We can't do nothing about it. she said, catch us in 2026 next fall. We'll see what happens. That's what she gonna say. But this game, I wanted to take on this game because you see two teams that have struggled in recent years. They've been in the shadows of other programs in their specific divisions. Of course, Alabama State, you had FAMU with their success. Now you have Jackson State. And then you have Prairie View that they made the SWAC Championship in 2021 against Deion's Jackson State Tigers. But we've seen some coaching shakeups. You have Dooley that leaves, goes to Southern. And then you have Bubba McDowell that ultimately gets fired. Tremaine Jackson comes in. So they've been behind Southern recently because, Southern has made some SWAC championships, right? So now you see Tremaine Jackson come in and he has his Prairie View A&M team rolling because what you saw at the game against Texas Southern is literally that one final play determined a season because Texas Southern's been really good as well. If Texas Southern beats Prairie View to start the season, Texas Southern is number one in the SWAC. But what you saw is that one play basically catapult Tremaine Jackson and Prairie View to the SWAC West Division title, which we're going to see if they still get there, which they most likely are, and catapult them possibly to a Celebration Bowl. On the flip side, you see an Alabama State team that has finally let Andrew Body do what he does because they didn't do it last year, as we saw that Andrew Body's playing tight end. So it's like they finally have Andrew Body as a quarterback, right? So they're letting the offense air it out. They're utilizing Andrew Body's ability to make plays using his legs. They have a lot of talented players. They just beat down Alabama A&M in the Magic City Classic. So much so, it turned into a yard show. Them boys out there strolling. They shimmying. They doing handstands. Like they doing Madden celebrations. Okay, that's how bad it got at the Magic City Classic. You got Cam Newton slapping the Bulldog mascot. Like it's really crazy what was happening. Magic City Classic weekend. Like Cam Newton put his pimp hand back and then slapped him and then said, "Watch out!" Like Young Thug in the interview. Like it was just really crazy. Like you know what I'm saying, man, watch out. Like you know what I'm saying. Like it was really crazy. So Alabama State is coming into this. And what they realize, Arielle, is that even though they lost to Jackson State, and that's not great, especially that final play call, they still can make the SWAC championship. Jackson State just lost to Grambling. Now, that's not a divisional opponent, but Bethune-Cookman's been looking really good. FAMU could pull off an upset. You never know. And then it's gonna go down to, hey, what's your overall record? How many SWAC games have you won? How many SWAC games have you lost? So Alabama State is saying, hey, no, we're not out of this. We can go to the Celebration Bowl. And some of us are wondering, and it's been some, I'm not gonna say it's been some talk with Alabama State Sox, I don't know, but some of us are wondering, that Turkey Day Classic against Tuskegee, if you do well again in FCS, can we cancel it? Can we do an IOU? Can we move that out the way so we can go to FCS playoffs for Andrew Body and crew? So you don't want to lose this game because you want to open that up, right? You want, like Prairie View, you want to possibly host the SWAC championship game in Texas. So this game is actually bigger than what we imagine. Now, Arielle, this is probably the toughest decision I've had to make this whole entire year. And I mean it, because I've been rooting for both these programs. It's pulling me apart, okay? It's pulling me apart. But I got to make the decision.
I'm so scared about what you're about to say.
I know you are. I know you are. Because the Transition Twins picked together.
That's true.
Transition Twins picked together.
We might have to be fraternal twins depending on what you pick.
I'm picking Alabama State. And I was explaining why. Great. Okay, I was explaining why. I cannot bet against Andrew Body. That man is the best quarterback in HBCU football, possibly in the FCS. And I'm sorry. I just, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I cannot, and it's nothing against Jermaine Jackson. It's nothing against Prairie View. But when you have a guy that's like Andrew Body, that's transcendent in the way he plays, that I think is Sunday good. I think that he's SEC good. I think he's Power 5 good. Like, and someone that in Texas, you saw Texas Southern was doing this thing, but in high school, one of the most prolific passers. Like, I can't choose against Andrew Body, but I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm picking Alabama State.
All right, Transition Twins get to stay identical because you scared me. I was like, if this man chooses Prairie View, I am going to flip my shit. Oh, can't say that.
No, you can. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm keeping that in.
I'm weak. I was finna flip. Listen, this is giving Any Given Sunday vibes, Jamie Foxx vibes. I knew you have a great game, and I'm glad that you let me have the blowout game, Delaware State versus Norfolk State, after you already took my MEAC game for the last week. So, you know, a win is a win. But I like you said, I can't bet against Andrew. Like, to me, a good quarterback is possibly going to beat out a well-statured team any day. You see it with Patrick Mahomes. You used to see it with Tom Brady. I'll throw him in there, even though we're not seeing him right now. You see it with Lamar Jackson. Like, a great quarterback, an amazing quarterback is going to be a well-bodied team any day. And Andrew Body is the type of person we're going to see him play maybe more than 3 positions in this game. He's going to be a quarterback. He's going to be a running back. He might be a tight end. We're going to see it all. He might even, you know, be a special teams. You might have to throw him in there and do a kickoff return or something. Throw that in his resume. This man is going to be all over the field just so they can keep their SWAC playoff alive. They have to win this game. So I'm with you for AI, for my boys Meta Glasses. Alabama State is my pick. They're going to win that game. They have to win that game because the picks this week, I was looking pretty good. I'm catching up to you, Randall. You know, I think it's the glasses and I think it's the bob. It's helping. It's helping. It's getting me up there. So right now we on the same wave. Let's keep that rolling.
Hilarious. It just might be. So let's get to the quick picks because here's how we fared. So overall, I was 7-5. Arielle was 8-4. I believe the discrepancy for me, I'm looking right now, the discrepancy for me was, it looks like I chose Tennessee State. Oh, okay. I guess I chose Tennessee State. I will take it. I don't think I chose Tennessee State. I guess that was the discrepancy. Because we chose Morgan State over Howard. We chose Morgan State.
We chose Howard over Morgan State, I think.
You see what AI does, okay? AI done got this wrong, but we will honor the records, okay? See, this is why. Listen, there's one thing AI can't replace. There's one thing, and it is the pickers.
Wait, who won? Morgan State?
Howard won. That's the part I'm confused about. Howard won.
Oh, I know. I definitely chose Morgan State. I don't know if you chose Morgan. I don't know, but I know I chose Morgan because I didn't believe in Howard. I definitely did believe in Howard.
I didn't either, so we probably did choose Morgan State. We probably did. But AI, you on the clock, baby. You on the clock, AI. Because I'm looking like and we chose Jackson State. I know we chose Jackson State.
Yeah, and I'm pretty pissed about that. That upset when I saw that, I said, well.
But Arielle, but what's so crazy about that game before we move on, like both Jacoby and Morgan and Zay get injured, and then the Zay injury was so bad. Like, cause like I was watching on the big screen, and my parents, that like they were around, and literally they stopped. And when everything stopped, like the energy in Allegiant Stadium was out, and like we just trying to figure out if Zay was okay. And I'm glad that seeing the reports that he's okay, but to lose two of your starting quarterbacks, like that was crazy. And then, all right, what you see in this game, this is why I'm not mad we lost. What you see in this game is when the mom gets out there and you see on HBCU Go, she's telling the team win it for him. Because that was clearly what she was saying. Because she was pointing like this. She was smiling saying, so I could infer she's saying win it for him. I don't know what else she was saying in that circumstance. And they won it for him. So I'm not necessarily mad at that. But I don't know if this is right or not, but we're going to honor the fact that you won this week, Arielle. So congratulations, twin.
Not that says I won. There's some discrepancies. Like we don't know if I actually. That's crazy.
We're gonna let AI handle it. Okay, we're gonna let the AI handle it. But twin won. All right, twin.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, I was going to throw you under the bus. I was going to say something real controversial. I said, let me not, because I know Randall ain't like that, but it's cool.
Oh my, what? I'm happy for you. I'm really happy for you because you got you one. Now here's what we're gonna do. Let's make all the same picks, okay? Let's pick as an organization. We're gonna be just like the mafia. Let's pick as an organization. Like, so, like we're gonna be just like the mafia at this point. All right, so let's do the SWAC first. So Alabama A&M versus Grambling. Who you got?
After this upset, it shouldn't matter, but that was really good for them to overcome Jackson State. I don't know if they're tough enough though to overcome Alabama A&M, especially with what just happened in this game. So I am going to choose Alabama A&M.
I'm actually going to choose Grambling because when it comes to Alabama A&M, if Cornelius Brown plays, because he's been out, we'll see. But Grambling, I think this is going to have them riding on a high. And I think that now I'm shaky on the backup quarterback. We know Zay's probably not going to be playing this week, but yeah. I'm shaky on the backup quarterback because when he came in, I know that we were focused on Zay, and that was a moment where humanity takes over sports. And I'm all for that. It was just a game at the end of the day. But I didn't like some of the throws he was making. I know that's Jackson State's defense, but I didn't like some of the throws he was making. But he's a runner. So I mean, I think he can make plays with his legs. Alabama A&M just got beat down in Master City Classic. I'm picking Grambling. So we're gonna have our first discrepancy, and we're gonna let AI sort it out. Okay. Alcorn versus Texas Southern. So here's actually some scenario. You have a lot of faith in Alcorn, and that powered you as well because you continue to pick Alcorn. I picked Mississippi Valley last week, so that probably was another reason why you won. So who are you picking this week?
Well, that's just your fault picking Mississippi Valley. I mean, I know they've been doing great, but it's still Mississippi Valley State at the end of the day. But regardless of that, I'm actually not going to choose Alcorn State. I'm choosing Texas Southern.
I am too. Texas Southern number 2 in the SWAC West for a reason.
Yeah, Alcorn State. I have faith, but not that much faith that they're gonna beat Texas Southern.
So Southern versus UAPB. I think this is interesting. Who you got?
This is very interesting. Why do they get all the good games? Why are we getting all the good games towards the end of the season? Of course, I'm choosing Southern.
Well, this is a good game because both teams are bad, and it's like a bad off. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what it's. So with guys, guys with like when it comes to women we think are attractive or whatever, we'll say stuff like they're having a baddie off. And then what you see when it comes to the NFL, like for example, with my Ravens, okay, sometimes it's the Falcons as well. With my Ravens, because I've seen Arielle for some reason. I don't know why Elon's doing this to me. I'm seeing so many women on my timeline, just the pictures of like women, like all this different stuff. And like some of the Ravens guys will say, this is how bad the Ravens defense is. They'll give a picture. Like, so, this is a baddie off, okay? I'm going to pick UAPB. We're going to shake it up. Fred McNair's not winning this one. I'm picking UAPB. This is what I'm picking. Baddie off.
we could have another one this next one.
Oh, no, we can't. Mississippi Valley State versus Bethune-Cookman? No, we can't. This is clear. It's clear.
We both choosing Bethune-Cookman?
Yeah, this is clear. They look good. Or I was wrong about Raymond Woody. He has bought himself at least another year. This offense is one of the best in HBCU football. And I'm telling you, I sort of started to look a little bit different when against South Carolina State, they lost, they put up 41 points. So this has been one of the best offenses in HBCU football. They blowing out Valley because they see blood. They see Jackson State is down their starting quarterback. And Jackson State, we're gonna see what happens with Jackson State FAMU. We're gonna talk about it in a second, but they could make the SWAC championship game. Who knows?
It's too many what ifs, too many routes that are happening right now. I can't.
Too many routes. That's hilarious. Too many routes. That is hilarious. Because you said too many routes. I'm sorry. You said too many routes. In my mind, I'm like, there's another receiver downfield. That's what
I don't know who I'm throwing the ball to. I'm throwing the ball to BC or for the A&M or like who's getting this SWAC ball.
So this would have been my game of the week 3 years ago. Like, Jackson State versus Florida A&M. Who you got?
In a lot of circumstances, but still thinking about what Florida A&M is going through, this is going to be my risk pick of the week. I'm going to go with Jackson State.
Oh, that's not a risk. Jackson State, yeah. That's not a risk.
It is a risk pick. Backup quarterback right now.
Well, there's two backup quarterbacks Jackson State could choose from, and the one that they need to choose to start is the one that was starting at the end. They got that touchdown at the end of the Grambling game. I think that's his name is Lockhart, I think.
But an injury is an injury.
Yeah.
And that can change any, like if it was a coaching change, cool. Injuries affect everybody. Like it's like injuries in football for some odd reason have a reaction of like car accidents. Mm-hmm. Like they affect everybody. Like it affect like how car accidents affect traffic, how they affect the people that happen in it, how it affects your insurance. That's how football is. Somebody gets injured, it affects the whole team. It affects the way that stuff is played. With basketball, somebody gets injured, like hop on it. Like let's move on. Let's go. But football, when it comes to injuries, it just affects it changes everything in a way that a team is playing. So I don't think Jackson State it's not gonna be as bad, but I think Florida A&M, like they'll have a little leg up in this game. They're not winning, but it's gonna be a little bit easier to me.
The only reason why I'm not going to say it is going to be easier. Well, I think it will be easier. The only reason why I think that Jack State is going to win is, yes, you lose Nate Rimber, but if you put in Lockhart as your new quarterback, and Lockhart is the one that was starting on those final drive, because Jack State had got that key touchdown, and you had to have Grambling then go and get that field goal to go ahead. If you put him in, you still got Travis Terrell in that backfield. That it's been a consensus around HBCU football spaces that you need to do more with Travis Terrell. Then you still got Nate Rimber, and you got that wide receiver room. So I just they're gonna be okay until they face Bethune, because if Bethune wins this game, I'm telling you, Raymond Woody talking crazy in that locker room. He gonna get them boys pumped up. And that might be now the de facto new SWAC game of the year. Because I'm telling you, because Bethune-Cookman is going to be ripe for an upset, especially if Nate is not, especially not Nate, but Jacobian, especially if Jacobian is not back. So that's going to be interesting to see. I might actually, have this game on the iPad until it becomes a blowout. Then I'm taking it off and I'm putting on something else. I'm watching Naruto, Ariel. I'm watching Naruto, actually.
Oh, you've been catching up, man. I've been trying to catch up on my Demon Slayer for real.
My brother and I had a very deep conversation about Demon Slayer. He gave me a phonology of like anime history. I've been watching. I'm on the Infinite Tsukiyomi arc. That's where I am in Naruto Shippuden. And I'm telling you, I've been quick. I will turn off this football game. It's a blowout. If Jack State or FAMU is won, I'm telling you, I will watch the film later, because we got to get out the Infinite Tsukiyomi. We got to get out of there. Okay, we got to get off the tree. If you're a Naruto watcher, you know what I mean. You got to get off the tree, baby. Come on. All right. So the MEAC, 2 games. It's so crazy. I want to say this real quick, Ariel, because I know we got to go. It is crazy when you look at the MEAC lineup and it's like 3 games. It's like, what?
It's the end of the season, man. Listen, next year, I don't want to hear nothing but adding new teams. That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear nothing about no coaching changes, no honors. I want to hear none of that. I want to hear teams added to the MEAC.
And the first team, North Carolina A&T. No, let me stop.
Man, give it one more year. Let us have our 100 homecoming next year. Y'all definitely not seeing me. have our 100 homecoming. I'm going MIA HBCU polls. I'm getting like
oh my gosh,
on field types. Like Randall and me are finna be like on site type podcast. Like I'm finna be there the whole week. It's about to be a movie. But after this year, yeah, let's run it back. 2027, let's run it back.
I'm gonna say this real quick. Wouldn't it be so cool if the 100th celebration is like, we got a surprise for y'all, and then y'all come and guess what? We're going back to the MEAC. Wouldn't that be so cool?
That would be the best surprise ever. Like, not only am I coming back celebrating 100 years of GHO, which is wild to me.
It is.
You know what? Just side note before we continue. I'm like taking I just want everybody to know now, all Clark Panthers, y'all homecoming, I'm so Clark Atlanta, best homecoming thing I have ever seen. The execution was tough. The way that they had the house and the stands, I'm stealing everything. I told my sisters to send me all the pictures, all the setups, like the org planner, the brand kit and everything. I'm sending that to SGA next year, because if I don't see a stand like the way that Clark Atlanta, if I don't see a Clark Atlanta homecoming but Aggiefied, I don't want it. The way they did their homecoming this year was so tough. I accept the paste to copy. We just have to copy it, bro. Like it was absolutely, shout out to, they had a great homecoming, man. I was partying with Ludacris on Saturday. Bobby Valentino was there. I saw Ray J. I felt like you, Randall. I'm just seeing everybody. I saw Roxy from 106 in Park. I saw Anthony Mackie. I said, hey,
really?
Yo. Yes.
The only name that wasn't auspicious was Ray J. That's the only name. It's I probably saw Ray J at the store. Like, I'm telling you, like
I was just like, yo, Anthony Mackie is the same, like how he is in interviews. That man's the same goofy, down to earth person like I have ever experienced. Like that man is literally the same. He's cool. He's like really cool.
I will never forget in the movie Notorious, he played Tupac and he said, "I'm Tupac." I'm Tupac. I was like, exactly, what are you doing? It's like, I clearly, you got a bandana tied around your head. You don't look nothing like Tupac, but I guess he had to let people know he Tupac. Okay, I guess.
You know, people, you know, they hadn't had those clones yet. The people that look like Tupac. Yeah. I don't know how you get somebody to look exactly like somebody if that's not your son, or like if they're not biologically related. That man that they found in 2016 to play Tupac, don't know how they did it. I don't think it was natural, but
I think his name is. I think his name is Demetrius Shipp. I think that I think it's close to his name. I forgot about his name, but yeah, he did like Tupac. He did. He's
not a real person. There's no way you could closely look like that man. He is not a real person.
But you can't copy the swag though. That's the only thing you can't copy.
That's true.
You can't copy, but I would love to be Roxy Diaz though. Roxy seems real cool, and like she be embracing HBCUs because she went to Bowie get this online, but you would think that she went in person because she was sure getting an online degree. She was rapping Bowie like crazy. Hey, that's my HBCU. I'm like, you went online. You know what? We'll accept that. Okay.
Well, you know, we'll take it. Listen, A&T listen. I see why them tickets was $80 at Clark. Yeah, I need that kind of energy. I'm partying with celebrities, and this is how we do it. Despite your campus literally being a third, like literally a third, a shared campus. Yeah, I need that kind of energy. I need that energy for next year.
Hey, I feel it. So let's get to the MEAC picks. AI is look for this. Like we ain't gonna get to the picks. Okay, here we go. Yeah, because that's why he'd be like, this is your chart. Okay, like you better take it or leave it. Like y'all talking about Ludacris and Roxy Diaz. Okay, like how much you had them pick anyway? Like so, North Carolina Central versus Howard. Who you got?
Man, this is tough because Howard. Both of them need to win. Howard needs it separately. Howard is actually 1-0 in the conference. They stand just underneath South Carolina State, Delaware State, and Howard are the only ones that have not lost against each other. But due to their record, it is behind Central's, Delaware State, and South Carolina State. So if they do not win this, they are officially out. If Central does not win this, even though they do have a great record, they are 0-1 in conference, they would officially be out. So personally, just off of just who is better and who I know has probability, even though it really doesn't matter, I think Central is going to win this. And if Howard does, I mean that's the end of Central. But I think Central, even though I said I can't see them coming back, there might be a way. I don't know. But Central needs this more than Howard.
North Carolina Central is going to baptize Howard on Saturday. They're going to baptize them. They're going to take all of the anger of losing to first-year head coach DeSean Jackson, and they are going to go crazy on Saturday. Howard is not beating North Carolina Central at all. So I also pick North Carolina Central.
All right, but think about 2 years ago. Howard upset them for the first spot. We've seen upsets before when it gets this close to conference play in the MEAC. That's why I'm not, even though Howard isn't as on the level of Central, the upsets towards MEACs getting to the Celebration Bowl have gone crazy.
The only thing I would say to that is that was a different team than this one because they lost so much from that team. Yeah, Eden James is still there. There's a couple other guys that are still there, but like they lost so much because that was the championship team, like the MEAC championship team that went on to the Celebration Bowl, and they actually were going toe-to-toe with FAMU for a little bit, but you know they lost 30-26 because of quarterback play. That's a totally different team. This team, we've seen them sort of in the fire, and then we saw them. Morgan State was winning. That's not the stream wasn't all that great, so I mean they could still be playing. We don't know. But like, you know, I mean, the stream was sort of bad, but like Howard won that. And it's like, that's great. They had resolve, but Morgan State, who has struggled all year, was looking good. And people are like, oh, they were struggling against Miles. Miles is having an off season in the SIAC, but they're not totally bad. Okay, it's not like you're playing Linc in California. Okay, but I think it does say a lot for Arielle, Ray Lewis's future school.
Listen, I knew somehow, some way you was gonna throw that man in there. You haven't mentioned this man all podcasts. I was like, he's gonna throw him in there. He's gonna throw him in there. Somewhere we gonna hear about some freaking Ray Lewis.
I'm telling you, Arielle, I'm telling you. Damon Wilson, they got like they don't got A&T numbers, but that student population is growing. They gonna have the money for Ray Lewis anyway. South Carolina State versus Morgan State. Who you got?
South Carolina State. I don't even know why there's no conversation here.
Okay, I totally agree. So PVAMU versus the OVC, Lindenwood versus Tennessee State. Who you got?
You know, I was right last week. I want to remain right. I'm gonna choose Lindenwood over Tennessee State.
I'm doing the same. I'm because I want to see because like the Tennessee. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be completely transparent. There was so much going on Saturday in HBC football. I was not paying attention to the Tennessee State game. I love Tennessee State. I love Tennessee State now. That's one of my favorite schools. I'm telling you, Tennessee State one of my favorite schools. They lost 17-16 to West Illinois. So what did AI say we did?
I think I won.
I picked Tennessee State. That's crazy. Yeah, you won that. He said, I think I won. Yeah, you got that. I'm gonna make this clear for Gemini. When you look at the transcript, because that's how they do it. You look at the transcript, okay? I choose Western Illinois, not Western Illinois, and Lindenwood. I choose Lindenwood. I choose whatever team Tennessee State is playing against last week and this week. I choose Lindenwood, okay? Just to be clear, because that's crazy. Okay, I love Tennessee State though. Tennessee State, they're amazing. North Carolina A&T versus Towson. This is very interesting. Arielle, who you got?
I don't think when I said this that I don't think they were one of the teams I believe A&T could beat going out of the season. I think I said it was Elon or Stony Brook. I had no faith in them being in Towson. So my Arielle's pick for A&T versus Towson, I'm choosing Towson.
I gotta think, Arielle. I gotta think.
Don't you go?
Because Norfolk State is arguably one of the worst teams in HBC football this year. And they're an auto-coon start away from competing with Towson. And I think Sean Gibbs got something cooking down there.
Now, listen, I was wrong. I was wrong last week. I let my fear of A&T distract me from picking them as they beat Campbell, but that was a comeback win. We don't know if they could do it twice.
That is true. You see how the transition twins like letting them know before you make a bad pick. Okay, Towson's 3-5. Okay, let's do a zoom in on Towson and what they've been doing as far as their schedule. So they beat Norfolk State, they beat Morgan State, they lost to Maryland. That's okay. They lost to Youngstown State.
Do we count Norfolk State?
Yeah. We totally do. Because we count Morgan State. Because we count both of them. Because they went 2-0 in the MEAC. You know. So they went 2-0 in the MEAC. So they beat Bryant. Elon beat them. Monmouth beat them. They competed pretty well against Monmouth. They got beat by Stony Brook heading into today. Or not today, but this Saturday.
Yeah.
I'll choose Towson. Just because our residential Aggie didn't choose him. I'll choose Towson. Because you chose Towson. If you're telling me that Towson gonna win, I'm gonna believe the Aggie because y'all got the engineers to know what's going on.
Listen, I'm hoping that the engineer that I met at my job comes back and we can talk 100, like see what she's trying to land for next year's homecoming. Like we stayed in the same dorm, sister. Let's
really.
It was crazy. I was checking her out And she was saying that she's lived in Barbie 504. I said, I literally lived in the same dorm. That is so crazy. So, with that connection, if she keeps coming back, like, don't be stingy. Lend some money. Like, help an Aggie out. She is literally an electrical engineer. Shorty is making money. Don't like, come on now.
My gosh.
Come on now.
Black women in networking, guys. I'm telling you. Black women networking and traveling. I'm telling you. Undefeatable. You cannot be a black woman in that. I think the aliens will have a run for their money. The only reason why the aliens will win is because that spaceship, telling you. Because their technology, if they're actual like intergalactic aliens, that's the only thing. But I think even for that, they won't be able to come up with the amount of where a black woman gonna go. Because a black woman gonna be up in Mars with them. They're gonna be like, wait, like
don't underestimate the power of black women. I tell you, we'll be making things happen.
I'm telling you. So we definitely want to update on that next year to see if y'all got an Airbnb or something. To see what happened with that.
Honestly, if you're not Airbnb next GHO, you obviously don't want to go because them hotel for 100 GHO, we all know those hotels. There's no choice. You have no choice but to stay outside of Greensboro this whole coming. Like,
yeah.
Have your Airbnb and your walkie-talkies ready because you ain't gonna have no service on that campus.
Let me say this. I had a theory about if there's a lot of people and they all using their cell phones, if the cell phone reception gets slower. I gotta ask my glasses about that. Okay. I gotta ask them because I peeped that at Fort Valley's homecoming because we went to the first home game where we played Delta State, which is they're D2 as well, white schools. So a lot of people probably aren't trying to come out to see that, especially on that other side. But a lot of people were there. But my reception was pretty good. We get there for homecoming. I can't even use Apple Music on these glasses. I was playing music on these. These are smart glasses too. They're not Ray-Bans, but they're smart glasses too. I had to play T.I. What you know about that like 15 times, so I couldn't choose other song.
I'm telling you from experience, there is no cell service when you get over 2,000 people in one setting. There's no your text message. You show up to the tailgate at 12. Your text message is not getting sent till 8:30. Like there's nothing. There's no communication. If something was to go down, just hope and pray I'm somewhere safe because you won't be able to hear from me. I'm sorry.
So you know what that makes me think? What if? Because there's a way you can do satellite texting, and you got to pay for it with Apple. Is that the future? Well, you can instead because you can use a cell phone reception. Okay, I feel so smart. Using cell phone reception to get to the phone. What about the satellite? What if you turn the satellite on and you can make satellite calls and satellite text messages?
But just me thinking like that being restricted to not like in this sense like lower people, like people that aren't important, like governments and armies and like officials and stuff like that, if they're just restricted, or like airplanes and stuff, if they're just restricted to using satellite, and you turn on satellite for a bunch of alumni and college kids that are just trying to talk to each other for one day, like we might be messing up the world. You feel me? Like
the world is hilarious.
I don't think
hilarious.
I don't think it's that important.
That is messing up the world is hilarious, but you never know. Like you could be partying with an engineer that could come up with that technology to get folks off of cell towers, and it would need to be a black person because we need some more Black history facts.
I mean, like imagine trying to communicate to the Attorney General in the middle of war, and you just hear an Aggie. Yeah, I'm on the South Side by the Holland Bowl and stuff. Like, bro, what are we talking about right now?
Well, Arielle, to be fair, Arielle, for these next 3.5 years, I can assure you they're not on satellite. The government's on FaceTime. Let's be for real. Like they're in a group chat. somewhere. Like, this government, they're not on a satellite. It's not encrypted. They right there, like I'm telling you what they on Kick. Remember Kick? They on Kick. That's what this government on.
I know their group chat is going crazy. Y'all see what our president just did again? Like, I would love to see the group chat messages.
Oh, trust me, you can. Okay, you get that engineer. all it can take is 1-2 taps. Boy, y'all see all the war plans. Y'all know which city they popping up National Guard at. I'm telling you, no encryption. I'm telling you.
Man.
As a matter of fact, you probably can call JD Vance right now. I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you that.
They're going to come for us. We are the next to go. We are on the next most wanted list. We've been joking about our government too much.
Hey, listen. They're going to write a book about me, just like Jesse Jackson. I'm telling you. like telling you. Shout out, real quick, before we go, shout out to Jesse Jackson. Go get Abby Phillips' book about Jesse Jackson. Go get her book. I found out that Jesse Jackson was a quarterback for North Carolina A&T, and he says in the book, Arielle, that him being a quarterback helped him become more articulate because this is how he said it. He said he has to communicate plays on the field to the different players, so you have to be clear in your communication. And Jesse Jackson is one of the most efficient political communicators of all time. So he learned that at A&T. So shout out to A&T for that.
I mean, listen, Aggies do. That's all I gotta say.
They do. They do. Well, Arielle, great show. Where can we find you on social media?
You can find me under my new Instagram name, Arielle.onrecord, or you can put me in the hot seat on X, formerly known as Twitter, at @Screery__, or visit my website at ariellekilgore.mind.canva.com.